Hello, how are you guys doing? You guys doing good? I hope so. I'm gonna go ahead and set up for some SCP reading. We have that list of stuff that that gear, not gear from, you know, not Gear-O-Matic, but gear from chat has added for me. I need to find that link. PBH here is an ARG that could be played through TikTok. Now concluded, CHSS is considered to be one of, if not the first, of the analog horror. Okay. So there's some good stuff out there. Let me go ahead and, oh, I need to add the Discord as well and tweet out. What am I doing, man? I'm all confused. All right, at everyone, SCP. Stream. Well, this is the wrong thing to link, but whatever, it'll get them there. And then tweet. I hope you guys liked the last SCP thing that we did. I enjoyed it. Oh, that's a good GIF. It's the SCP-173 like doing the default dance. Last SCP thing was cool. Good. All right. Where's my music? Let's turn that off. And then I'm gonna pull one up, and we should probably get some music or something going. I think for music, why don't we do? I could just make something in Fruity Loops real quick. Let's do that. I'm just gonna continue the trial. Yeah. No, I'm okay. I don't need to get a new version of Fruity Loops. I need to get this version of Fruity Loops. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, let's get some instrumentation in. So what is where's my thing? There we go. All right. And then insert. Probably want a toxic biohazard. Oh. Key button thing is not working. That's gonna make it hard. That's not the right sound effect. Why are the buttons not working? That's weird. Oh, I don't have a MIDI keyboard. I'm talking about like my regular keyboard. Okay. And then we probably want to add another thing. Yeah, we're real quick gonna make some background ambient sound to accompany us for the next like couple hours. Making some background music real fast. Add one. I need to add another track. It's been a minute since I've done anything with it. This. No, it's okay. Where's the button to add new groups? Is it add filter group? No, that's not it. Okay. If plugins don't insert your keyboard click anywhere on the interface, old synths don't allow for the bypass. Nope. We're gonna read several. Depends on how long 7000 is, but we might get to it at some point. It's so weird. All right, so we'll just make this track like super long, I guess. I don't know how to add extra patterns, but that's what I'm trying to do. It just won't let me for some reason. So let's go ahead and let's enter the piano roll. Where is that one? F4? Thank you. Where's the one I just did then? Oh well. Okay, and then add one, and we'll add a toxic biohazard. That's still not working, so piano roll. We'll make that one real short and this one real long. Okay. Oh. All right. Oh, kitty food time. Is it super quiet? Yeah, it's a little on the quiet end. It's just meant to be ambient. And then piano. Grab all the notes. We're just gonna take them to space. That's like way too... This hurts me so much to watch. That's okay. I don't have to be perfect. Gotta put it in a pull stretch. Okay, what about this? How long can we make the clown horn go? Like, can we stretch it even further? Oh, we can. Oh, we can. There we go. Oh, it's got like a... Yeah, we probably need to pitch it up some. How do I do that from here? There we go. Like, increase the pitch? Is that way we can actually hear you? Just all the way up. Ah. This is a clown horn. It's actually kind of horrifying. It's great. I love that. Let's bring it down a bit in the mix. All right, now. All right. How do I, there we go. We also want to like, wait, what are you? This is untitled, so this is bruh. Pitch? Yes. Why is it not doing the pitch thing on this one? Oh, this is the clown horn again. God damn it. Ah, here it is. All right, we can get rid of that. All right, I think just stretching sound effects sounds better than trying to do whatever I was doing there. Impulses? Misc? Packs? Vocals?
Give me more infectious.
Yep. Here you go. Long.
It's a smash hit. It's a. We need a beat. That's right. That's right.
What time is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Respect.
Jack it up. Jack it up.
That's very bubbly. I like the whoop, 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 whoop. All right, now we got to mess around with the This is Fruity Loops, FL Studio, some number or another. I have no idea what this thing does. The sound goodizer? No idea what it does. We'll replace it with, reverb? As someone who uses this professionally, this is quite amusing, but also incredibly painful. Have we gotten to spooky? Pogbot's excited about it. Is it too fucky for people wearing headphones? Too much sub bass? Where's I need like an equalizer. It should probably be higher up in the chain. Where's the equalizer? Gain, flanger, filter, dynamics. Parametric EQ2 is one. Where is that? It's under filter. Ah. Goodbye, Lowe's. You don't exist anymore. Rip the Lowe's. All right, this part is really intense. Okay, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit on your end, but bump the mids, cut the lows, and a little bit of the highs. This should be pretty good.
Spin it again.
That's horrifying. That's just fucking dreadful. Anyway, let's read this. This is very jarring. All right, so this is Gear sent me all these. We've got this one that they titled Home Depot. Home Depot. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit on my end as well. How are the audio levels? It's cut out, of course, right as I asked that, because it's got a thing on Fruity Loops to prevent you from just like recording your own stuff. Okay, special containment procedures. Due to SCP-4703's status as a perfectly legal establishment, any direct attempts to shut it down or otherwise prevent members of the public from patronizing the business are considered unlawful. Instead, the Foundation-run grocery store has established an adjacent to SCP-4703 to draw away potential customers. Advertising campaigns showing the Foundation's superior products and offers are to be sustained in perpetuity. Description. Oh, it's in Midland, Texas. Holy shit. Is an independently owned supermarket in Midland, Texas, operating under the name Yeah, we're totally going to sell you this. It has maintained steady patronage and the legal right to operate despite its engagement in deadly and unethical business practices, which are perfectly legal. Thank you very much. SCP-4703 are distinct from anomalies which directly affect the subject at a baseline mimetic or cognohaz. What? This is a very dangerous object. Or no, it's just impossible to contain. Okay, fair enough. The background music's too loud. I'll cut it down just a bit. Let's see. SCP-473 are distinct from anomalies that directly affect the subjects at a baseline mimetic or cognohazard level. Instead, affects underlying bureaucratic systems and systematic constructs independently from personal cognition. See the addendum. Significant cognitive dissonance may still occur due to the inherent incongruities of SCP-4703 and normative human comprehension. In addition to sustaining the legality of SCP-4703, these anomalous influences may also form new legal restrictions against certain activities within the property. Violations of these restrictions may result in spontaneous manifestation of a violent animal in or around the offending party. What the fuck? You should disclose? What? That I own this place? I wish. Examples of unethical but perfectly legal hazards. Thank you very much. A lot of these are like, thank you very much. Yeah, it's weird. Okay. Shelves are mounted on pneumatic actuators. Okay. And frequently rotate, altering the store's layout to increase customer traffic and prevent egress. Occasionally, two opposite shelves will thrust together and crush any merchandise customers and wildlife caught between. Children who are separated from their parents and or guardians will be forcefully detained until the parents or guardians either pay an upfront fine of $47.67 in cash, an exact change, or undergo an immediate and permanent eyebrow removal via laser follicle surgery. Trapdoor mechanisms are installed in several dozen sections of tiling, each triggered by a particular action, saying the word Wednesday, not saying the word Wednesday, and deposits the victim in a deep shaft containing some form of hazard, metal spikes, glitter pile, poisonous snakes. I love that it goes from metal spikes to glitter pile, and then back to poisonous snakes. The triggers change daily and are listed on the business website in Latin. The translations are available in Minoan, Greek, and extinct languages such as Phoenician and Punk. There's a section on the far side of the store marked Starving for Savings and Discounts ad Bestius, where the merchandise is marked at 70% off or more. This area is partitioned with a chain link fencing and constantly patrolled by a minimum of 15 malnourished lions. Store branded fishing rods, telescopic grabbing mechanisms, and drones are available to rent for the explicit purpose of retrieving items remotely, albeit at a dramatic markup. Outside items intended for this purpose are not permitted. Steel doors around the perimeter allow customers to access the area directly, but will lock from the inside after a certain amount of time has elapsed. There is a 5% chance the cashiers will ask the customer for a kiss on the lips after checkout. Should the customer accept, there is a 1/3 chance that the customer will be wearing lipstick poisoned with an anomalous toxin that kills instantly. Should the customer refuse, the purchases will be promptly incinerated without refund. Huh. I don't think you go shopping here, is what happens. Customers may volunteer to have their lipids extracted in exchange at checkout in exchange for store credit. If the sum of every digit in the customer's credit card is odd, and the first letter of the cardholder's name matches the letter of the day, and most recently aired episode of Sesame Street on the local broadcast network. Extractions of lipids is immediate and mandatory and perfectly legal. Thank you very much. What are lipids again? That's like your fat, right? So all of your fat. That, you need a bit of it. I mean, I guess it's a way of losing weight. Every day at an arbitrary time between 3 p.m. and closing, alarms will sound. The lines will be released from the discount section, and all but 2 checkout lines will immediately close. Products purchased during this period will be free of charge, but still must be scanned one at a time. The owners of SCP-4703 have not been identified, nor correspondence of tactical or scientific value has been made within the owner of SCP-4703. Memo: ongoing bureaucratic obstacles per Foundation senior legal. Can you just set the fucker on fire? Why do people shop there? Because I think they don't realize what's in there. I do like the idea of being able to sick lions on people. That would be illegal. Okay, but like, I don't think that the SCP Foundation cares much for that. The store is completely legal. I mean, if you can't shut it down through like easy, like legal means, then just set the fucker on fire and you're fine, right? Counteraction of the legal anomalies is the top priority for our... Nothing it does is illegal. It protects itself by changing laws and makes anything that threatens it illegal. but people could just do crimes. Like, people do crimes all the time. That's why we have laws. Because we're like, hey, we don't like it when people do a thing. Read on. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. To resolve the matter in a which way that minimizes loss of life and economic detriment, we have received a significant number of inquiries regarding the mechanisms of 4703's indisputable legality. Unfortunately, there are no easy answers. Law is a human concept that exists on paper because we write it down. It exists in the practice because we enforce it. Generally, we interpret and exercise the law through scrutiny of semantics, intent, and precedent, though the bureaucratic hazards such as 4703 are not necessarily predicated on such things. In fact, the law as most known to it has very little to do with the matter. While it is not a perfect comparison, one could say that the baseline law is an anomalous law to the arithmetic is to the algebra. Both are recognized as mathematics, while the latter is more abstract. Imagine that Timmy and Sally each have 2 apples. If Timmy gives Sally his apples, then Sally should end up with 4. Oh, yeah, no, okay. But she doesn't. She has 10. How can this be? Sally recounts the apples, reenacts the scenario over and over, but see, there is no mistake. 2 and 2 make 10. It is an incontrovertible fact, you see. Even if the anomalies are irrational, they are factual. It is essential that one accept this if they wish to continue to develop a countervailing methodology. It's kind of weird that they're treating laws as if they're like indisputable facts of nature rather than things that are made by man. Is it implying that it becomes a law like gravity is a law? Like, once it becomes illegal to set the store on fire, it is physically impossible to do so. I see. We're talking laws of existence, not human-made laws. I'm high and this feels like a 4-year-old telling me how shit works. This is not the stream to watch while high. Once Sally accepts that her 4 apples have become 10, she reevaluates her radix and decides to recount the apples in base 4. Suddenly, 10 apples are 10, and 10 is 4 in base 4, which approximates a number of apples. Eureka! Sally collects another 4 apples, bringing the total to 20, which is 20, which is 8, which confirms her new paradigm aligns with the abnormality. Form follows functions according to the function of the form, and at last, everything makes sense. Except nothing really does, really. A well-behaved reality oughtn't conflate the concrete with the abstract. If you initially perceive the countable sum of 10 apples in base 10, then the equivalent number of apples in base 4 should be 22, since it stands to reason that the changing of your subjective view of an outcome ought not to... I don't like that they're using the word oughtn't. It's a weird word. Oughtn't alter the physical materials of the equation. However, we live in a very naughty reality which may, on a whim, allow a young girl to wheel apples unbeholden to thermodynamics. This explanation is inadequate, of course, but hopefully it goes a small way towards helping you understand why the legal department is currently occupied with comprehensive redrafting of Texas corporate law and a quarterly semi-logical system. This itself would be an exceptional feat for the most skilled of bureaucrancers. This sounds like a Welcome to Night Vale skit. This is kind of like insane. Like, they sort of accept the fact that it works this way, and I'm just gonna pretend this is how Texas law works. Oh yes, I can totally zoom in. I'm very sorry. I think I have one that's zoomed in from when we were reading whatchamacallit. Okay, let me zoom in a bit more. This explanation is inadequate, and of course, it hopefully goes a long way towards helping you understand why the legal department is currently occupied with a comprehensive redrafting of Texas corporate law and quarterly semi-logical system. Is that better? Like, can you see that? It's better now? Okay. I have to make sure that, like, I've scrolled down enough for y'all, though. And it is further compounded by the necessary incorporation of contingency clauses that against the self-aware fact that patterns that keep legitimizing rabid lions into existence inside my goddamn bathroom. We're grateful to you for our valued colleagues, for your patience, cooperation, and we will all work together towards a solution. Sheldon Katz. Katz is apparently a well-known one. This is absolutely a joke one. Karen of Justice? Felicia Blondia, codename Karen of Justice. Daniel Paulson, an employee. Angel, the Karen of Justice enters the store under the pretense of being a dissatisfied customer. I can't believe this. This is a crime. You're scamming innocent people. And I'm a mother. I'm here for my kids. What do you want me to tell my kids? I'm sorry about your kids, but that's how the offer works. It's perfectly legal. No, I don't accept that. You can't do this. Please let me speak to your manager. I'll want my discount. I don't think that the manager will be able to help, ma'am. Look, it says right here on your coupon. You expecting me to read your fine print bullcrap? I have an astigmatism. The premise is fun. It's a bit silly, though. It feels like it almost should be an SCPJ. I love that their way of dealing with the bureaucracy is just to send a Karen in. Right here, it says on your coupon, it says valid with ritual castration. Now, I can understand that that might seem like an issue if you don't have anything to castrate, but for no extra charge, we can schedule a surgery to attach. I'm not leaving here without my discount. Ma'am, please understand it takes several months to find a compatible donor. Your lanyard is backward. Turn it around. I want to see your name. My name is Daniel, ma'am. Listen very closely. I want my discount. I'm going to get my discount. If anyone's getting castrated today, it'll be you. And all I need are my purse strings and my bare hands. Do I make myself clear, Daniel? Hang on, ma'am. Now, hang on, ma'am. I see no point in beating the saddle instead of the donkey. I'll go talk to the... That is a fucking Texasism. I've never heard it before, but it's a good one. I'll talk to the manager and see if there's something we can work out. I'm going to speak to him to myself. Take me to him. Paulson bites his lip, looks around, and pats his thighs. All right, right this way. Paulson takes Agent Blondia to a door near the front of the store and leads to an unlit stairwell which takes them to an underground break room. Several hammocks are suspended across the room, each occupied with one or more employees. Kinky. Paulson crosses beneath the hammock on his stomach and gestures for Agent Blondia to follow him. People sleep here? Yes, some of us live here. Why? Depends. I entered a raffle for an ab transplant and instead won this instead. Couldn't turn it down, like legally couldn't. Some people get lost in the store, and if you don't leave for 15 minutes after closing, you're legally required to stay. I think it's a year's the minimum. But the benefits are good, so yeah. At the other end of the room, Paulson leads Agent Blondia to a dim hall. They pass 12 unmarked doors before reaching the end. He's in here, ma'am. Paulson opens the door at the end of the hall, and the room inside resembles a storage unit with metal shelves along the walls. Several large boxes block the far end of the space. Your manager's office is a supply closet? Basically. Paulson activates a pull string light to move several boxes to reveal an executive chair at the back of the room. It's turned to face the wall. I don't think you really want to do this. Well, where is my what I want is my discount. Paulson sighs and draws the chair away from the wall. A nude male corpse, presumably mummified, sits in the seat. Its skin appears desiccated and taut, conforming to the loose shape of its bones. The figure is postured with its arms draped loosely around its stomach and its head bent backwards at a severe angle. Its jaw is fully extended and no teeth are visible. Eyelids are drawn and vacant. This is Mr. Vintio Horospice, our manager. Sorry, I would have told you, but it's against the rules. I feel like I should have expected this. Paulson pats his thighs rhythmically for a few seconds. You can still make your complaint, and he can pass it on to the owner. I don't know, I'm not sure how, but he can pass it on, and they'll fax us a response. He can hear us? Maybe. He also may be like a telephone, kind of. I'm not sure. I really don't know. It's very, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. You can see the faxes that the owner sends, they hide in cereal boxes, so it may take a while to find them, but the cereal is all we eat around here because we get a lot of faxes and they're very important. Hopefully it wouldn't take too long. Please rest assured we are trying. David? Me? Explain this, David. Which part? Gestures broadly at the corpse. I don't know. Please tell me what little you do know. Yes. I know that he's legally our manager, and I know that he is, well, what he is. And I know that one of us always has to kiss him goodnight at closing time. Aww. I know that if we tell him something, the owner knows, but the owner seems to know everything that happens here anyway, so I can't be certain it's related. What else? Oh, he's empty or hollow, actually. The hollow is probably a better word. What's the difference between empty and hollow? Paulson retrieves his phone from his pocket, activates the flashlight, and illuminates the inside of the corpse's mouth. No teeth, no gums, no internal tissue of any sort of present within. See, just skin. Paulson moves the flashlight behind the corpse's neck and creates an interior glow at the back of the throat. It's clearly hollow, but how is that not empty? Put your ear up to his mouth. What? Go on. I'm not doing that, David. Oh well, it's like a seashell, except for you don't hear the ocean. There's a noise. I can't really tell what it is, though. It's really distant, really far away. Sounds like a voice, but it's not speech. I can't tell if it's human or animal. Roaring, maybe? Yeah, mummification can happen without, like, it can just happen. It's human beef jerky. Let's see. Sounds a lot like a voice, but not speech. Agent Blondia removes a microphone hidden in her blouse and uses the cord to lower it down into the mouth. Speech and noises outside the corpse are mummified. What's that? Are you... Faint sounds of an emergency siren begin to play. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. It's the lions. Run. Upstairs? But when we're down here, Paulson rushes out of the room without responding. Agent Blondia retrieves her microphone and follows after him. Loud, blunt noises are heard in the hallway doors as she leaves. She exited with minimal injury. Legally, it was restructured shortly after that any further access to the SCP-4703's employee areas by non-employees, and audio analysis of the recording inside of Mr. Harspiss's corpse revealed noises which fit Paulson's description. The examiner also noticed that the sounds are indistinguishable from human laughter when recorded and played at very slow 75 increased speed, which is perfectly legal. Thank you very much. Weird one. That is a good one, though. Let's try this one. SCP-4419. Gyrus called this medical malpractice mobile. So it's as hard to contain as that last one was. That last one really got the Keter tier. Due to the expansive range of circumstances which the SCP-4419 manifestation occurs, containment efforts are focused on information control and post-manifestation cleanup rather than physical imprisonment. Any witness of 4419 manifestations are to be dosed with a Class B or A amnestic as appropriate for the level of exposure. In cases where it is possible to restore the bodies of 4419 victims to roughly standard human configurations, a cover story is to be established to explain any remaining damage as a result of their original injuries. In cases where it's not feasible, victims of 4419 are to be brought into custody and, if possible, euthanized. Okay. A cover story is then established regarding the death of the victim due to their original injuries or conditions. SCP-4419 is a vehicle resembling an ambulance of various make and model which spontaneously appear in the area shortly before medical emergencies arrive, which means that SCP-4419 predicts these situations is currently unknown. Although the appearances of 4419 differ in manifestation to manifestation, it always resembles an ambulance appropriate for the local culture. Where was the if possible? If possible? That is weird. Like, what do you mean if possible euthanized? Like, they've already tried to, like, make them not remember shit? What the fuck does it? Okay, we got to keep reading. Upon the occurrence of the medical emergency, 4419 will directly proceed to the injured individual, hereafter known as the victim. Two individuals of varying physical appearances in paramedic uniforms will exit the back of 4419, secure the victim, and bring them back into 4419. The individuals who will emerge from 4419 will behave as expected for medical professionals in this situation, but will repel any attempts by others to prevent them from securing the victim via extreme physical force. Imagine, like, you're having a heart attack and someone just like kicks in the door and beats the shit out of you until you get out of the way, so that way they can take care of the person having a heart attack. Once the victim has been secured within SCP-4419, it will leave the area at extreme speeds, disappearing the moment it is outside of observation. 2 to 7 days later, the victim will be returned to outside a local area, suffering from extreme and invasive body modifications. Though the majority of these altercations would logically result in death of the victim, the death will not occur in these cases unless the modifications are tampered with or otherwise undone. The specific nature of these modifications differs from case to case, although there does appear to be a level of correlation with the original medical emergency. See encounter log. The following is a log of encounters. The original medical procedure is in each case, and the body modification is applied to the victim. Note that this log does not encapsulate all known victims. A full record is available upon request. Okay. Braking car hits a pedestrian crossing the street, resulting in a broken leg. Victim returned with all limbs amputated, relocated to protrude directly from the torso. Limbs were reamputated as a cover story and established to explain the limb loss as a result of a more severe car accident. Man suffers a broken jaw following a fight outside a bar. Victim returned with his jaw permanently forced open. In addition, a glass window is installed into the mouth to permit viewing of the heart, which has been relocated to the back of the throat. I was going to say that how are you seeing it? But that makes sense. Due to relocation of the heart, reversion of the body modification was not possible and the victim was euthanized. Seems like some of these would be like pretty easy to like euthanize. I think you just like break the glass on that one and like, I don't know, let the glass shards take care of it from there. A homeless man suffers from drug overdose. Victim taken to the same place he was originally taken from. Top of the victim's skull has been removed, brain crudely scooped out and placed into the victim's hands, which has been fused together in front of him. When being brought into custody, the victim's brain fell out of his hands and he instantly expired. At no point was the victim's brain actually connected to his nervous system. Sometimes we want to minimize pain during death? I guess, yeah. A wife and husband involved in a car crash suffer numerous broken bones and severe bleeding. I'm gonna guess they get fused together. Victims return fused together by their backs. All bones have been broken in the original accident, were meticulously removed, resulting in the loss of some of the limbs. The victims were successfully separated. Administered amnestics as appropriate for their modified limbs were amputated. A man suffers a heart attack. A victim was returned with 11 additional non-functional hearts, which his body stuffed between the existing organs. Expiration occurred when surgeons attempted to remove the additional hearts before agents could arrive on the scene. Surgeons and medical staff who had treated the victim were administered amnestics and the body was confiscated. Fire at the bar results in 19 people suffering from severe burns. Additional 7 people suffer from broken skull fractures and broken bones when they attempt to confront the individuals who emerge from SCP-4419 and are also taken as victims. It is believed that the existing injuries are exacerbated by new injuries caused, attempting to force 26 people into limited space. So if you get hurt while trying to like stand in between the medical professionals and like the people who are hurt, they'll just jam you in there too. Victims return to the local community center as a single watery mass which twitches and shivers when physical contact is applied. As no method of euthanization of the victims could be occurred, they are currently stored in a liquid tank at Site 31. U.S. Military private shot on patrol in Afghanistan. Due to the suspicious nature of SCP-4419's arrival and the forceful securing of the private, other soldiers on patrol fire on it as it leaves. Witnesses report seeing a viscous black fluid leaking from the results of the bullet holes in its surface. The victim was found broken down into a thin paste and spread all over the walls of the barracks the next day. The agents who initially secured the remains reported seeing a mostly intact eyeball dilate when they approached. Although what has been brought into storage is referred to as convenience sake as remains, is currently not known whether or not the victim has expired. Wow, horrible. Thank you for showing it to us. That was a good one. I like that. I like that it just like takes care of you regardless if you want to be taken care of or not. We got this one, SCP-217. I don't think I'm going to read the descriptions that Gear has because I want it to be a bit of a surprise as we read it. But the descriptions are good. I'll read them afterwards. That way we can give Gear credit for the work they did. Containment area is to be kept behind 2 reverse pressure locked airlocks, chemical shower sterilization, full contained atmosphere, hazmat suits, and a 24-hour post-incineration interaction quarantine and testing are mandatory for all personnel entering the containment area. Should containment be breached, the blast door for the containment in the research area will seal. The chemical agent 21711 will be pumped into the air. Any humans exposed to SCP-217 are to be contained with and held within for observation. Any items touched by those affected by it must be sterilized. SCP-217 is a virus incurable by current means with a rate of infectivity at 100%. It affects all organisms in the King Amelia and can spread via touch or contact with bodily fluid. It's very hardy and can survive for years outside the host body, and the progress of the infection is very slow, with some subjects going several years before manifesting symptoms. Horrifying. It alters the biochemistry of the organic tissue, causing the organic matter to rearrange in the form of organic metal. Process involved with this change are not yet fully understood, but the advanced stages are well documented. The subject will turn into a complex arrangement of gears and clockwork, these taking over for the former biological functions. Advanced stage infections is reported to be very painful, but earlier stages are often unnoticed, with vague feelings of confusion, insomnia, and joint stiffness. Hearts are replaced with gears and small tubes, joints by gear networks, eyes structured not unlike primitive hand crank film cameras, etc. One of the original Keeters. Yeah. This is great. I like this one. Get turned into a clock, nerd. Fuck you. Unhumans your clock. Shows first on the outside of the body on all creatures except for mammals. In mammals, it first converts the internal structures before manifesting outside the body. This can cause even those infected to go very long times a period without knowing of the infection. So what's the screening process? Like, what if, like, you just get post-testing are mandatory? Okay. Yeah, this is a very simple, straight to the point one. I like that. I like it when the SCP is like that. Like, you get the visual, you understand what the fuck this is very quickly. This may cause those infected to go very long times without knowing of the infection. It's been even shown to convert the entire inside of the body before showing any external visible symptoms. 217 has infected several major metropolitan areas in the past, most notably Blank. All these ones give me inspiration to work on a D&D campaign. I had a friend that had a D&D campaign where or I heard about this. I don't know if it was from a friend. Maybe they like heard it as a story. I don't know, whatever. I heard from a friend, a D&D story, that there was a town of infected people They were all deaf, blind, and invisible. And the infection spread like fairly quickly. So the town looked empty, but if you went into the town and stayed there for too long, you would also become deaf, blind, and invisible. So there's no way to like know that there's something going on aside from maybe hearing someone scream. It's a good one. It's a good one. I don't know how you cure it though. False Hydra? No, False Hydra is just people forget that it exists. But I'm talking about, are their clothes and belongings invisible? Presumably, yes. The mental state of those in the middle to advanced stages of the infection have been shown to be as much diminished. Subjects respond to in a repetitive fashion, are very dull and mechanical in actions, are easily distracted and confused, and appear generally irritable when faced with new problems. In addition, research on the fully converted brain has been blank. I would like it if this was like consistent. Documents, notes on symptoms. Subjects infected by 217 have, at early stages, reported no major symptoms aside from increasing lethargy and a general lack of emotional response. Some have reported feeling of fluttering or moving under the skin, coupled with a persistent ticking noise. The noise seems most prominent when it infects the shoulders, neck, and head. However, it is inaudible if recording equipment is pressed against the affected areas. All right, later, Citra. Won't they all starve to death then? Yeah, probably. New clockwork organs appear to rip and tear at tissue for a short time before becoming fully integrated into the setting into surrounding tissue. This is believed to account for the pain. Areas infected appear to be metal, mainly brass, steel, and iron. Other substances have been reported appearing to be leather, rubber, glass, and wood, and other basic materials. Despite appearances, it is purely organic material and even carries the subject's DNA. Organs and tissues affected appear more resilient than normal, carrying the same strength and density as the materials they resemble instead of normal tissue density. Could this be used? I guess the flesh is going to be like infected, so you can't use it to like make metal. Farm materials from humans. Yeah, it's probably a bad idea actually in retrospect. Never mind. Areas damage repair over time, but much slower than standard human regeneration. Damaged areas can be instantly repaired by replacing the damaged areas with new parts of the same type. Testing has shown that there's no ill effect if the parts are made from normal materials such as steel, wood, and leather, and replacing them the existing biomechanical clockworks. Damaged areas can instantly be repaired by replacing... Okay. Most alarmingly, people infected can continue for months or even years without being detected. With infection so easily spread, hundreds could be affected before the containment could be enforced. Infection appears to spread most quickly in large offices, malls, and other large concentrations of people. Anything or anyone suspected of being infected with this is not allowed near 882. At the time, current experimentation between 229 and 217 are only allowed with the 05 approval. What are these two? Probably two really bad ideas. This is the one I thought it was going to be. And then what is this one? Should I read these ones real quick? So this is do not allow anyone infected near this thing. 882 is to be kept in a fluid environment at all times, consisting of no less than 40% seawater. I'll turn down the music a bit on my end. Object is currently suspended in non-metallic means, currently cotton fiber line that is to be changed daily. Object is also to be checked daily for signs of rust flaking. If any part of it appears to be uncoated with rust, it must immediately be re-immersed in 100% seawater solution. Water is directly taken from the ocean, reduced concentration, only when the object is again coated with rust. No heavy metal may be placed in the containment area. Only organic materials are allowed within the containment area, and any contact with SCP-882 requires the use of thick cotton gloves. Any metal making contact with the area is to be severely heated, melted down, and immersed in 100% seawater in a separate area. Any auditory issues reported by staff must be reported immediately. Also, any affected personnel must immediately submit to a full psychological examination, and depending on the results, either be transferred to another facility or permanent containment at blank. Is there music? It's very quiet. It's not really music as much as it is sounds. It just cut out, so you can't hear it, of course. I'll turn it up a bit more. It's ambient, yeah. It's like the bruh sound effect and a bunch of other sound effects just stretched out really far. It actually works fairly well. Who knew that's how you make ambient music? Um... 882 appears to be a random assembly of gears, cables, pulleys, screws, and belts, all made of an amalgam of various metals. Object size at the time of recovery was approximately 87 cubic meters. Holy shit. Currently, size is approximately 12 cubic meters. Rust quickly in seawater. No identifiable energy source has been found, but all components will begin to move if not coated in rust. It is completely silent at all times, no matter what level of activity it reaches. Any metal touching the object will permanently become affixed to it, and over a period of a few days, part of the new becomes part of the object. Organic matter remains unaffected. SCP-882 is extremely resilient with tensile strength and toughness above those of aircraft grade titanium alloy by weight, even though its composition appears to be random alloy of tin, iron, and gold and other metals, and some yet unidentified. Extreme focus heat must be applied over several hours to cut even a small portion of the main assembly free. I guess you can cut off pieces of it as long as you really go at it for a while. Persons remaining in the vicinity of the object for prolonged periods of time to have developed auditory hallucinations when near the object, mainly the sounds of clicking and grinding. Sound intensifies is abated only by throwing metal into the object. Subjects in advanced states of psychosis have thrown themselves into the object, resulting in almost instantaneous death by crushing. As the body is drawn in, it is almost impossible to recover. 882 is recovered at a location northeast of the coast of Banks Island. The area is barren with all metal and metallic ore in a 1 mile radius. It was found in a geometric center of the area and has become submerged in seawater at the time of discovery. A small town was found nearby, abandoned for several years. It was removed. Shortly started to flake off the rust, causing various parts to begin motion. After several accidents, he authorized that it 2519 be placed on a loop, which significantly reduced the object's motion and enabled safe access. 882 was then cut down and contained on site. Do not put it anywhere near 1271 or any subject possibly contaminated by 217. What is... Okay, we're never going to read all the ones that Gear sent us if we keep going off the trail like this. So, should we keep going off the trail like this, or should we, Oh, there's an interview here. Dr. Gears? Please. It's like clicking all the links on Wikipedia. Okay, so this one recommended 882, which is this one, and then said SCP-229. Is the other one that it's not allowed near or something. No, you're allowed to use SCP-229 on the virus clock thing. Okay, so what is this? No electrical devices of any kind are allowed inside or within 30 meters of the containment area. Any and all personnel entering the containment area are to be clad in lead-lined clothes and helmets. Anything found to be infested by SCP-1 or 22, I don't know why I said 1, 229 is to be immediately incinerated, and the resulting ash and debris contained and disposed within Protocol XJR-99. Thing to remember is in the good old days, you could cross-test SCPs for the fiction, but it's highly frowned upon nowadays. It does seem like a bad idea in some of these cases, but, like, it's fun. I want to see what happens when Weird Item 1 gets in contact with Weird Item 2. Containment area is composed of a hollow cube, 18 centimeters thick granite, 8 meters on the side, with a single door and airlock. These are to be operated with no electrical components, and the components are to be made of wood or stone whenever possible. Any organism infested with 229 is to be immediately incinerated. Any items of staff exiting the containment area must be scanned and cleared by site security. A lot of it devolved in trying to kill, 682, who is immune to being killed and gets harder to kill the more you try. So basically, you need to make sure you absolutely kill him, else you just make him stronger. It's literally what does not kill me makes me stronger, but nothing kills him. The extremely hard to kill lizard. I mean, I was thinking about it when I was listening to that clock thing. I'm like, yeah, what if we turned it into a fucking clock? And then jammed it into that machine that just grinds you up? What if you just jammed it into the machine that grinds you up? .229 appears to be a mass of wires and cables. Superficially appears to be raw copper wire, insulated Ethernet cable, phone cable, power lines, and many other forms of electrical cable. When I was driving around today trying to get like the car registration done, I saw a guy and he had a shopping cart, and the shopping cart was filled with like, I want to say like at least 100 feet of some sort of rubber coating. And I'm like, that guy just stole that copper wiring 100%. But I'm not a snitch, so I didn't call anyone. I mean, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you can't put it back on now that it's been stolen. Pogbot pogged at that. Great. It's also entirely possible that I'm wrong, and that was just some random homeless person who had, like, I don't know, a hose. And the cops would harass that guy and get him killed or arrested or take his shit. So it's like, what good is this? Anyway, insulated copper wires, many other forms of electrical cable. The current mass is 94 kilograms at last measurement. It is tentatively identified as a form of silicon-based life. It is a highly invasive parasite attacking anything carrying even a low electrical current. Isn't that including humans? SCP-229 will grow several centimeters every hour and form connections to attach each electrical power source, wall sockets, plugs, USB connectors, etc. The SCP-229 will continue to splice into power lines and existing wires if no connection is available. It appears to feed off electricity. It appears to go dormant when not in the presence of any electrical source. Any electrical current entering within 30 meters, no matter how small, will immediately cause SCP-229 to grow in the direction of the electricity. Questions regarding how the possible intelligence and sensory organs of 229 are still under investigation. It appears to grow best on metal and plastic and is very capable of infesting living tissue, invertebrate animals. I was going to say, yeah, that's humans as well, right? SCP-229 will quickly penetrate the epidermis and other tissues attached to and enveloping the spine. SCP-229 will grow along the nerve pathway and up to the brain, attaching and infesting it within days. The process appears to be extremely painful and can cause very erratic behavior. When the infested subject nears death, usually from massive internal bleeding and brain damage, it will exit the body by puncturing through the skin attached to any nearby structures and thereby beginning the cycle again. It is theorized that it has always been present within our ecosystem, but with the technological level and thereby availability of electricity, it was insufficient to allow it to spread. With current prevalence of wires and other electrical devices, detection can be extremely difficult. Incineration is currently the best means of dealing with 229. This time, any cross-experimentation between it and the... So why would you even do that? This just makes you a clock. This one is... I mean, it's not an electrical clock, it sounds like. Also, you recommended 6969? Is this a joke, SCP? Also, I've been noticing it takes a really long time for me to load web pages. I have fiber. I don't know why. Like... Maybe this page doesn't exist? Why wouldn't it live in the clouds? Yeah, I feel like thunder would be very effective. 6969 isn't good, it's just, okay. Well, it's not loading, so I'm gonna go ahead and skip it for now. I'm sorry. Okay, so don't put this near. And then I want to see what 882 is, because that seems like the way of turning it off. Is the website down or something? Like, why is it taking so long for me to load pages on this? I mean, I'm streaming, so I haven't lost connection. Twitter? Twitter is sort of working. The fuck? Oh. What do you want to bet that it's on the same server as, okay. I bet you that it's like some like Cloudflare hosting thing or something. All right, so 882 is not to be brought in presence of 271. I think it's probably like Cloudflare or something, not like the internet itself. So like, it would explain why I'm still able to stream. I'm probably gonna read a couple more and then probably stop because my throat's starting to give out on me. SCP-271 is to be stored as long as possible in the containment unit 12 in blank blah blah blank 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 on a meter-high stone pedestal, SCP-27101, which is to be flooded with water and sealed off in a hollow 5 centimeter thick sphere composed of glass and saturated with iron. Permanent neodymium blank magnets will be mounted all around the standard sized room. Standard sized. We got everything else measured out to the fucking millimeter, but you can't tell me how big the room is? The room is to be suspended in a sphere in the air and to repair unwanted intruders. The room will be lined with pyrolactic carbon to contain the magnetic fields generated by magnets. Jesus. The door to the room is to be left unguarded and disguised as an ordinary janitor's closet and kept locked away by an unobtrusive password box mounted on the wall down a hallway around the corner that appears to be a thermostat. Dr. VG is to change the password on a monthly basis. All study to the observation only is to be observation only until further notice. In case of unauthorized access, electromagnets in the room are to be activated by remote to destroy the glass sphere so that recovery may be simplified. It is a small disk composed of an unknown but metallic in nature. Composition is unknown but metallic in nature. It is little more than 4 centimeters in diameter. Jesus Christ. Fuck Cloudflare. All my homies hate Cloudflare. I'm a little confused on why there's only like 2 server companies. I guess it's just like, it's less of a monopoly thing maybe, and more like it's very hard to actually have that amount of money. It is monopoly. Okay, cool. Yeah. I wasn't sure if like it was like a YouTube situation where having those kind of servers is difficult. So a monopoly. If you're the only one who can do a backflip, do you have a monopoly on backflips, or is it just that other people aren't good enough to be able to do backflips? Versus you physically preventing people from doing or learning how to do backflips in order to prevent them from doing backflips. Yeah, exactly. Like if someone goes, I'm going to try and do a backflip, and then you run up to them and break their ankles so they can't do a backflip, that's definitely monopoly territory. If you have every grapevine in the world and use the money you get from selling grapes to hire people to burn down other people's grapevines, is that a monopoly? Yes. That's what I'm saying. Is it a natural monopoly, or is it just like an actual regular monopoly? Pogbot, please no. Don't pog at monopolies. We still don't like them here. Just trying to understand the concept. Money's not natural. Yeah, you're right. That's a solid point. And they only were able to make that money in the first place because they had some to begin with. So I suppose it's just a regular monopoly, but it takes a couple more steps to get there. Maybe it's less like I'm the only person who can do a backflip, and it's more like I'm the only one who can do like a really cool backflip. And other people could learn to do it, but they're just not, they can't. They're not as good at it as I am. I don't know. Anyway, Cloudflare sucks. SCP-271 is a small disk 4 centimeters in diameter and engraved with a number of symbols that may or may not represent an unknown alphabet. These symbols are infectious to the environment and over time gradually appear as if invisibly carved into nearby objects. They are capable of escaping through any hole. However, minute, but have been demonstrated to be unable to penetrate non-gaseous fluids. Objects that carry the symbols for sufficient time begin to be changed at a molecular level to the same material as the SCP. Both engraving and petrification processes are extremely painful to biotic organisms. The only method known for purging the symbols is destruction of the object, which is not possible to do with SCP-271 itself. At this time, both the thing and the pedestal are thoroughly coated in engraved symbols that seem to swim slightly. Dr. VG and other observers have described them as looking like the far side of a heat wave or not quite there at all. Symbols appear to have fractalized somewhat. Studies in vision-enhancing equipment have revealed miniature symbols inside or around the larger carvings of both objects. It was previously known as an unknown SCP recently acquired from a shrine belonging to the Church of the Broken God by a mobile armed Task Force 12 when blank. It previously stored in a room of its own with the documents note was to be kept sealed until the assembly was ready. Documents acquired at the time suggest that blank platform is original on account of the extensive writing in the room which was contaminated. The shrine itself was pulverized. However, due to the rapid retaliation by enemy forces, the remnants of MATF-12 were forced to blank. Contact has been reestablished, but the nature of the SCP and the enemy seekers prevent easy recovery. It's currently considered more advisable for the SCP to remain hidden if comparatively unprotected than to attract attention by launching an expensive recovery mission. It has been ordered to confirm itself, use the exclamation mark denoting the atypical existence outside the secured SCP Foundation. So they're just sort of leaving it out where it could be found, but they're doing security by like not doing security. It's a little bit of column A, column B. I'm kind of reading some random ones based on ones that were recommended. Like it was like, don't let this thing interact with that thing. Let's see, where were we? SCP-271 is not to be brought into the presence of it. So that, wait, which one was that? That was the clock, right? Yeah. I guess that could be a problem. Reports of other embedded sources indicate as if blank, the church is aware of its location and the location of 271 and planning immediate assault against the unit. It is to be kept out of enemy hands at all costs. It has been ordered to mobilize and prepare for evacuations. The recovery team is prepared for immediate deployment under the direction of Agent DuPont. A detailed report is to follow, I say. Well, listen to Bees McBees, we are, yeah. No, you're good, you're good. I spent a little time at the beginning making one. Let's do one more before my throat gives out. Oh, I love this picture, by the way. This is a artist thing. I forgot why they did it, but it's neat. SCP-1451 is contained in Area 15, located in the blank sound. It is surrounded by a sphere of wire mesh netting to ensure that no large objects enters the containment space. Access. Oh, that last one was called what were the infectious clockwork. SCP-2521 has 0 text. Okay, I'll search that one up while. Oh, this is it. Oh, interesting. So it's catered tier. It looks like that. Confinement information, images are fine, but any writing, digital or physical, is not allowed, as well as any speaking about it. You're allowed to talk about, or you're allowed to show pictures of it to class 4 or 05. It has sticky limbs, as well as wavy hands. This is a great one. It is able to phase through walls. He likes it when people talk about him, but does not like symbols representing him. They did some tests with Class D people. They saw a picture of it, and then they were told to write it down. They did, and then it fell in love with them and took it from them, but didn't kill the guy. B, they were told to describe it, and when they described it, they were taken as well. Yeah, basically this is the only way you could describe what this thing is or how to do it. Well, I just fucked you all over as well by talking about it. Anyway, that's a good one. I like that one. That's a really cool one. I love the ones like that where it's like, once you know about it, you're fucked. What SCP was that? That was SCP 2521. It's a really good one. SCP-1451 must always be submerged in water from the blank sound. Natural water currents are not to be obstructed as it could potentially cause an ongoing Class 3 scenario. Guards are positioned no closer to SCP-1451 than the second barrier. During Class 2 and 3 scenarios, SCP-1451 must be remotely monitored. If any drastic change in behavior is noted, the Director of Area 15 is to be immediately notified. No attempts to rescue items or personnel from it are to be made. It is unlikely that the blank sound begins to drain. I don't know what they're talking about, blank sound. It's weird. Protocol Tempest is to be enacted. The last one won a contest for having the least words and additional 250 bonus points for using 0. That's a really clever way of getting around that. A sound is a stretch of water. I live out in the Plymouth Sound. Oh, it's a area of water. Got it. Okay. I have not heard that term before, but got you. It's like a lake or something. SCP-1451 is a set of metal statues, 26 in total, individually referred to as SCP-1 through 26. All appear to be of children heights ranging from 1.32 meters to 1.43 meters. SCP-1451 can have 3 distinct states of motions referred to as Class 1 through 3 scenarios. During Class 1, there's no movement detected. This state is ideal for containment. During Class 1 and 2 scenarios, the SCP-1451 are standing in a circle, each one grasping the hands of the statues adjacent to them facing outwards. Class 2 will animate slightly, shifting themselves towards the apparent goal of counterclockwise locomotion. The hands of SCP-1451 will also raise and lower slightly with these moments. Bubbles can be emanating from the mouths as well. The state must be monitored closely as it can quickly transition to Class 3 scenario. The solid object, so they don't want to have it so that way there's natural water. You can't obstruct the natural water, else you do get a Class 3 situation. Think of it like an inlet. Okay. When a solid object with a mass greater than 40 grams enters the area of the circle formed by 1451, hereafter known as the activation area, SCP-1451 will animate and attempt to destroy said object. This is known as a Class 3 scenario. Fortunately, small object natural currents are present around SCP-1451, and the effect that the small light objects cannot enter the circle in the center of 1451. 1451 has shown incredible strength and agility in this state, though the extent of these qualities has not been found. 1451 has observed utilizing multiple different tactics when neutralizing the target, including multiple martial art forms. What the fuck? Pressure point application to humans and machines, and highly coordinated teamwork. After eliminating and disposing of all solid material, the SCP-1451 instances will return to their original positions and revert to a Class 1 scenario. SCP-1451 have ventured as far as 1.3 kilometers away from the activation area in order to neutralize target. Attempts to intercept it between neutralizing a solid object and returning to the activation areas have been met with what is referred to as a Class 3.5 scenario, where 1451 will become hostile, but instead of focusing on returning to the original position, will instead focus on returning to their original position circling the activation area. SCP-1451 avoids attacks of its separate parts, even if it would normally be motivated to do so. Could you shoot it? Like, could you just shoot it with a gun? Because the thing that's entering its space is the bullet. It could remove that bullet. It's a metal statue that's very fast. I don't know. It does try to defend itself. What if you shoot it a lot? I don't know what you're supposed to do with it. You can't get close to it. So how do you hurt something that's really far away from you? Gun. It's underwater. You can't use a flamethrower. Am I wrong? What's your solution of dealing with this thing? There's still more reading. I know. Oh, these are JavaScript, so it doesn't like it when I do that. The full manifest of the recovered materials in the document 1451-5H12-8X4. One damaged Scranton box. What the fuck? Scranton boxes are foundation technology reverse engineered from data expunge in order to provide a physical contained space from most reality bending. Okay. Recovered document, see below. 20.9 kilogram brick scattered inside and outside. 4,000 kilograms of containment grade concrete. Leave it the fuck alone, I guess. But it seems like more of these things that are out there that you have to worry about, the more likely that this thing ends up running into something that it shouldn't. Like, what if this gets in contact with the fucking weird, like, sundial that, like, turns you into letters as well? Or it touches the thing that makes you a clock, or it turns this thing. These are made of metal, right? Isn't that bad? Like, that could be really bad. You should probably get rid of one of those things. And this one seems really hard to get rid of because, like, you can only cut off a little bit of it every day. Pogbot? No. All right. The recovered document is a bombshell. Special containment procedures located at the depth of blank and blank sound. Guards are positioned around the containment intervals, armed with submachine guns. Oh, so they tried that. Outside the preliminary containment area is another room lined with three sniper positions, ensuring that the roof of the Area 56 is never breached. Concrete walls, contact prohibited except for in special cases. Written consent must be obtained from Dr. Blank, the head of the area's constant reviewing of the document procedure that is not to be destroyed. This is a document found in the circle. Gotcha. Blank and sapience. The reality is not currently understood as it is exempt of reality bending, though the orifices have been shown to have a profound effect on Blank and subject Blank. Data loss emitting small nondescript letters scattering throughout multiple paragraphs believed to have been lost. Addendum 2. In light of the incident, we believe that the response was akin to laughter. Something furthermore, agent called Blank a child. Due to its nature, it is possible that agent Blank may undergo physical and mental changes, misconceives reality and changes to match its perception. If no attempt is made to convince Blank otherwise, contact must be fully prohibited in order to stop it from altering reality further. The smallest misconception about its containment could mean that XK end of Blank may have already been used. The metal concrete room containment and the agent Blank have already been melded into its mind. The only blank way is to blank. Chains have already begun to occur. Three aspects, metal concrete containment and child, are melding, emitting small nondescript letters and phrases scattered throughout. Fully unredacted document is available. So this is from another universe, or it can bend reality in a way which would require a Scranton box in the first place. So at some point the Foundation did try to contain it using one of these anti-reality bending boxes, but it went wrong. Have a look at 1609 to see why they refuse to destroy things. Okay, one more. 1609 is contained at a storage site due to the okay, so that one, by the way, Gear called creepy kid statues don't want you to enter their yard. The way I read it is that it is a reality warper that ended the world but managed to warp itself into being a reality bender. That's confusing. Gear calls this one the angry chair. Okay. Storage site 08, due to its difficulty of transportation from its location, 1609 is to be contained in a specially designed enclosure that on site with a flower bed in which the range of aesthetically pleasing field of flowers and plants are to be cultivated, is to be used with as mulch within its flower bed. The flower bed is to be tended regularly, and all visitors to the enclosure must remark about the beauty of the flower bed, with particular emphasis on the quality of the mulch. Not the one I thought. Okay, I was gonna say, how is this a chair? 1609 is to be removed from the flower bed at regular intervals so they can be treated with wood, metal, and fabric preservatives. Personnel are announced their intentions in the presence of 1609 before attempting to remove or for this purpose. Personnel assigned to 1609 are required to wear plain clothes in order to prevent accidentally triggering a violent response from 1609. No items with monitors are allowed within a 200-meter radius of the containment area. No personnel either presently or previously affiliated with the Global Cult Coalition nor materials referencing them are allowed within Storage Site 8. In the event of a violent reaction from 1609, all personnel are to exit the vicinity and message is to be played over the site's interior speakers informing staff of the event. Should 1609 be sighted outside of its containment area following a violent reaction, staff are to act in a submissive, non-threatening behavior. Formal clothes such as jackets, lab clothes, and protective clothing, jumpsuits, and particularly body armor are to be removed if possible in case of such an event. Any weapons capable of damaging 1609 are immediately to be discarded if a staff asks SCP-1609 to return to containment without attempting to threatening, or to ask it to return without threatening or commanding it. So just be like, hey, would you mind going back to the room that we made for you? 1609, it is the angry chair. Okay. 1609 is should it exit Site 08, agents are immediately dispatched in order to scan the surrounding area and, if possible, retrieve it. At present, there exists no way to totally prevent it from breaching containment. Current containment, so it's Keter, or okay. So it's, yeah. Let's see. At present time is pile of splinters, wood chippings, furniture, nails, and scraps of bleached leather and fabric, weighing approximately blank kilograms. Wooden portions of it are made of oak, and the nails are made of steel. It's capable of teleportation, being capable of moving its entire mass instantaneously between 2 points without any known limit. It can usually uses this to bring its constituent parts together when the parts have been removed from its mass, but it can teleport its entire mass at once, and on one occasion at a distance of blank kilometers. 1609 is capable of splitting its mass through. It does so rarely. Any amount of material removed from its mass continues to display its properties, and it has resisted all attempts to remove it from the confines of its site, teleporting back to its site of its own accord. However, it has previously teleported out of the storage site for previous periods before returning. Although this has only happened on a few occasions since its arrival in its Foundation's custody. 1609 appears to be in some way sentient, as research indicates that it is able to perceive its environment in a manner that is currently poorly understood, and able to react to stimuli in an intelligent fashion. Details of 1609's behaviors are poorly understood, though it is to be ascertained that it will react in self-preservation, and react aggressively to certain stimuli which it connects with a threat to its existence. Aside from this, 1609 appears to be prefers situations which it is utilized by humans, and will actively seek out situations where it can be put of use if left idle. This is the reason for the Foundation's presence used to it as mulch, as it appears This prevents it from becoming idle and attempting it to leave the storage site. It is theorized that it is capable of understanding human speech or thought, though this cannot be determined as it does not comply with the test designed to gauge its awareness of such stimuli. When exposed to a number of specific stimuli, it will react violently. During typical violent reaction, it will teleport a portion of its mass inside the lungs of nearby personnel, causing immediate and severe lacerations of the interior of the lungs as well as pulmonary obstructions, which rapidly lead to the victim's death. Stimuli which instigate a violent reaction from 1609 will include personnel wearing of the uniform or clothes similar to that of those of personnel affiliated with the Global Occult Coalition. Utterance of words or phrases are used heavily exclusively by GOC operatives, such as threat entity when in contact with 1609, and any action demonstrating hostility towards 1609, such as the sound of a running motor. Violent responses of 1609 are rare. Only blank such events have occurred since its containment. 1609 quickly reverts to a passive state after such a response does not continue to feel threatened. After it arrived in custody on blank, after teleporting to an unused containment cell in storage site 08 in its current state, careful investigation has revealed that 1609 was originally a large chair made of varnished oak and bleached leather, carved in a form of a reclining woman in a restful state. 1609 appears to have possessed its anomalous properties in this state, albeit with certain limitations, namely that the object would only teleport when a person within a certain radius, currently unknown, felt the need to sit down or rest with a comfortable seat or chair nearby, at which point it would teleport to them, remain in place until another person experienced a similar urge. So it just teleports you away. Or teleports the chair out from under you. I don't know which, but that's funny. Both the Foundation operatives and members of the Global Occult Collusion were made aware of the existence, which was given temporary designation of E622 due to the hard-to-contain nature of 1609 and the possibility of its existence causing breach security regarding the... It's a chair that wants to be sat on, and now it's not a chair anymore. A small-scale effort to contain 1609 was launched by GOC forces. It's presently unknown exactly how this GOC operatives captured. I mean, I would imagine you would just go to the last sighting and be like, man, I really need to sit down. But it is known that they succeeded in reducing the object into its current form using a wood chipper. Further attempts to destroy it have failed due to the properties and abilities that it can teleport away from sources of danger. Following this event, several members of the Global Occult Coalition died under unusual circumstances. Investigations through both official channels and embedded foreign Foundation agents within the GOC has potentially linked 1609 to at least 3 deaths of personnel within the coalition. So the Global Occult Coalition is another rival foundation or something? Like, you have to work within, like, the strategies and the logic of whatever the thing is you're dealing with. The GOC has potentially linked 1609 to at least 3 deaths of personnel within the coalition, although the true number of casualties amassed due to the mishandling of the item is unknown. 1609 then arrived at the Foundation custody. It is unknown how... I feel really bad for this chair. 1609 was aware of the existence of the Foundation, although it is theorized that it entered the Foundation custody due to a low risk of further damage to itself. So it recognizes that it's not going to get destroyed in the SCP Foundation. So it fucked up everyone who ever fucked with it at the GOC and then was like, it seems safe here. I will be here now. 1609 represents a perfect example of the flaws inherent in the operating procedure of the GOC, which serves as a cautionary tale for any members of the Foundation who disagree with our practices with containing dangerous objects. Prior to the Coalition getting their hands on this, it was perfectly harmless. A chair which teleports around when you need a seat is normal compared to most of the stuff that we deal with on a regular basis. When they put it through the wood chipper, it got hurt, scared, and angry, and it lashed out at them. by trying to protect the world by destroying it, they inadvertently made a situation a whole lot worse. 1609 went from becoming harmless to deadly in the space of a few minutes because GOC, and we had to clean up the mess. Thankfully, 1609 is pretty simple for us to deal with. As long as we don't do anything stupid around it, it won't bite back and it won't try and leave. Even if it does, it usually comes back, and I think I've worked out why. It came to us because it was afraid of the people who had heard it, and that's why it always comes back. I'm afraid of the rest of the world now, and it's afraid of the rest of the world now, and it's looking for us for protection. It's sad. Why do I feel sad for a chair? You and me both, dude. Like, it didn't do anything. Maybe we don't shoot the children. The teleporting children, or the murder karate children. Because you can make it sad. It seems like you probably only want to get rid of the ones that are actively dangerous, right? This is one of the few SCPs that went from safe to Euclid to safe to Cater to safe, then went back to Euclid. They couldn't decide. Even though it usually does come back, I think, okay, this is why we have a special containment procedures instead of special destruction procedures. If you break something, it's broken forever. You destroy an anomaly, you can't take back your mistakes. That is what SCP-1609 has to tell us. This is why we're right and the GOC is wrong, people. Dr. Savert. Yeah, I feel like, you know, things like this, maybe destroy it, but things that are actively hostile or calm, like a chair that just wants to be helpful, maybe leave it alone, man. Maybe leave the fucker alone. I'm gonna check and see if there's any art, and I'm gonna check Twitter for art as well. Okay, I don't see any art, but I mean, it's nice as long as you leave it the fuck alone. I guess that's the story. This is a good story. This is one that you probably should, like, just be introduced to if you're going to be working at the SCP Foundation. You know? Like, just don't fuck with it already. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I did. I enjoy these good SCP stories. Thank you, Gear, for, like, putting together this list. If you guys have any more recommendations, throw them in the comments of this video or in the other video, and I will check them. And if I see any good ones, or if I see some, we'll give them a read. There's one left to Gear's list. I'll add any others that I see, and we can do that, or we can do the Mandela catalog, depending on when they are done. The next one would be 105 or 150. But anyway, I'll absolutely recommend some. Please do. And thank you so much. Anyway, I'll see you guys when I do. Thank you so much for watching. Brr.